What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Friday, September 24th, or maybe Thursday, September 23rd, depending on whether you're listening in the feed or listening after it's published or watching on YouTube. You can watch every one of our shows, particularly the post-game primetime episodes live on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. And of course, we're always excited that this episode of Pick Six is presented by, that's right, that delicious sound. I guess sounds can be delicious. Bud Light, presented by Bud Light, the official sponsor, the official beer sponsor, of the NFL. Share a limited edition Bud Light team can with us as you listen or watch along to the podcast. Go to budlight.com/delivery. Very conveniently, I've got my Bud Light hashtag for the fans can right here. Now, this doesn't say hashtag 3-0 because Bud Light, while an amazingly delicious adult beverage, is not actually a soothsayer. It would not know that the Panthers would go up to 3-0 and beat the Texans on Thursday night 24-9. But you can bet there are a lot of happy Panthers fans sipping on their ice cold, delicious Bud Lights after that win by the Panthers. Of course, we had one celebrating Carolina's win. I had Carolina. I picked Carolina to win, and they won. And so I'm going to enjoy a Bud Light, and you should too. Go to budlight.com/delivery to get yours. Joining me to recap I don't know if I call it thrilling, but it was a football game. Panthers-Texans. Joining me to recap it, Ryan Wilson and John Breech. What's up, boys?
I'll just say this. The last time the Panthers were 3-0, 2015. Went to the Super Bowl.
That's true.
The time before that, they were 3-0. Beat you to it. Breach 2003. Went to the Super Bowl. What do you want to say there, Johnny B?
And I'll also add, they went 3-0 1996. They went to the NFC title game. And I'm starting to think Brinson's Bud Light bottle has magical powers because that thing showed up at his house and they haven't lost since. We should send all the beers to Brinson's house and see if those teams keep winning because there's something going on here.
Wait, all right. Are the Bengals and Steelers currently tied? I guess they're tied with the Ravens for first place.
And the Browns.
And the Browns. Four-way tie.
Four-way tie for first place.
If you can use the words Bengals and first place in the same sentence, you're automatically winning.
But the
Breech
Bengals
also
won week one. The Steelers won week one. In fact, since Bud Light sent us these bottles, the three teams they sent us the bottles for have been in first place for the entirety of the NFL season. Wow.
Though, to be fair, the Bengals are also tied for last place.
And unfortunately, that run is going to end on Sunday because the Steelers and Bengals are playing each other, although they could certainly tie. I'm not going to rule that out. That's
the Bengals go.
Ben's got an injured pec, but you know what? That's Sunday. We don't need to talk about that right now because
have you looked at the expert picks, Breech?
Wilson would just argue. I have not. Don't you guys?
Why don't you go look and see? I want to know how many people. Wilson has a long-standing habit of picking against the Steelers, usually against the spread, not always straight up. I want to know how many people picked the Bengals straight up.
I picked them against the spread. The Bengals.
Oh,
I didn't pick them.
All right, here we go. The Bengals are. Well,
Do you remember that moment in Arrested Development when the mother? She grabs the.
Oh my goodness! What's going on here?
I know, right? She grabs a pill. She's like, she must take the drowsy warning for a winky-eyed like enjoy warning.
So there are 8 experts on our picks page on CBSSports.com, and 5 of them picked the Bengals.
Wow.
No, is that against the spread? I wonder how many did it straight up.
Straight up.
Oh.
And one of them is Brinson. So I guess Brinson's spitting in your face, Wilson. Take that. He's on the Joe Burrow bandwagon.
I don't hate that.
You know what? The Bengals and Steelers didn't play.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about that Sunday night when me and Wilson are fighting for a half hour.
Correct.
No, just before we move on, I believe very deeply in my heart that the Steelers could very easily lose that game. Much more so than the Ryan Finley Bowl. All right, go ahead.
That game, by the way, will be recapped live on YouTube on Sunday night. Once Sunday Night Football wraps up and Breech does his little hunting and pecking on the keyboard to finish up grades, you're definitely a hunter and pecker. I've watched you type.
He's the Dave Gettleman of typist.
That's mean.
No, remember Dave Gettleman did the hunting and pecking when he was talking about the analytics?
Yeah. We will go live on
YouTube. I'm about quality, not quantity. Quality, not
that hairdo
quantity.
says differently.
And
I need to get it.
If you are currently in the YouTube chat, watching on YouTube and enjoying it, which
now you can't see it. Sorry.
Hit the like button. It helps us a ton. And leave a comment. If you make fun of my hair plugs, make fun of I don't know, you just make fun of me. Leave it in the comments. Comments and likes help us I've learned this is especially true from my son Robbie, who he's logged in as his mother, but he comments on all these like the gamer videos. I bet they think AK Brinson is a weirdo. Anywho, also in the feed, week 3 best bets. The worst record this week was 4-3, and that was me. Both Pete and RJ went 5-2. You can sense a little heating up here, so I would highly recommend you check that out. One of the best bets I would have had if this game wasn't on a Thursday would have been the Panthers -7.5 or -8. It doesn't matter. They took care of business, but we can't dive into this without first talking about the fact that Carolina, now 3-0 with a soft schedule, playing really good football on both sides of the ball, probably suffered not the worst 2 injuries they could have suffered, but pretty close to it. Christian McCaffrey had a hamstring injury that caused him to be ruled out within a minute and a half of the injury. He was in the medical tent for roughly 15 to 20 minutes and then went back to the locker room. Jaycee Horn ruled out very quickly with a foot injury. That's their first round pick, of course, playing really high level cornerback. We talked about him, in fact, on it may be on the pick show that you'll hear tomorrow, which we record on Thursdays. Prisco thought he was a good bet, 12-1 as defensive rookie of the year. They're calling it a foot injury. It sure did look like an Achilles injury. That's what
the report is a broken foot.
Okay. All right. A broken foot would be frankly a massive win for the Panthers.
But then also Matt Rule said there were broken bones in his foot, which is slightly different than actually having a broken foot.
So I'll ask you this. Which injury, Ryan Wilson, as our resident medical expert, which injury is worse for the Panthers? Christian McCaffrey with the possibility of coming back this year. I guess Jaycee Horn could too, or the Jaycee Horn injury. Which player impacts the Panthers more? I think it's a fascinating discussion.
I think it's Christian McCaffrey. We'll find out exactly who Sam Darnold is. I mean, he looked fine against the Texans. The Texans, I say it all the time.
He went out. He looked bad when CMC went out. That offense.
No, he sort of got warmed up in the fourth quarter in that last drive when they got the final touchdown. But there were some hiccups right as soon as C-Mac went out. I don't know. That's the nickname I use for him. He took some sacks. He had a fumble that was recovered by the Panthers. And it looked a lot like some New York Jetsian type Sam Darnold quarterback play. But I think that's the big question for me. Chuba Hubbard is a nice back. He's a rookie. He clearly isn't the player that McCaffrey is, but he did some things that were okay. He dropped a touchdown pass, which you certainly would expect McCaffrey to catch, and hopefully Hubbard in the future. But I think it's certainly McCaffrey because even though Jaycee Horn is awesome, and last week, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this, last week, 3 players whose dads played in the NFL all got interceptions as rookies. Jaycee Horn, Asante Samuel Jr., and Patrick Surtain, which is sort of cool. But the thing is that defense, we've talked about this before, is so good in Carolina that you could stand to lose one player, even a player as good as Jaycee Horn, if the front seven is still getting after it. I mean, I think to me that's the difference because I don't know if I want to see Sam Darnold without every single big-time playmaker either standing out wide or behind him, and that offensive line does have some question marks.
Yeah. So before you answer, Breech, I'm going to sneak it in because I'm worried you're going to steal my answer. It's cold take presented by Bud Light. I swear this is not a hot take.
I'm going to drink my ice cold Bud Light while you're giving your ice cold take.
Yeah. I pour mine in a glass just because I like to enjoy beer in a cold glass. My ice cold take presented by Bud Light. The Jaycee Horn injury is worse for the Panthers than the Christian McCaffrey injury. And I realize there will be pushback about that. That is a hot take. I promise it's not. For me, the way Jaycee Horn as a rookie was playing at that level, at that position, allowing Dante Jackson to cover number 2s, allowing Phil Snow to be really creative up front, knowing he has these guys locking it down to the back end, I think that is harder to replace than getting 70% of Christian McCaffrey through Chuba Hubbard. I get the Chuba Hubbard, not Christian McCaffrey. But Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is the best running back in football. I want him out there every week. He's incredible to watch. But I think that when we look at the Panthers and their identity in 2021, which I believe will probably be or was primarily defensive based, that the Jaycee Horn injury could be worse than the McCaffrey injury. That is my ice cold take presented by Bud Light.
I don't think that's crazy. I wasn't going to steal your answer. I haven't watched enough. This is obviously the first game where I saw all 4 quarters of the Panthers defense, and they looked really as good as advertised. I saw them a little bit against the Saints, and I didn't really watch the first game against the Jets. But it does feel like right now it's McCaffrey. Maybe it doesn't end up, if Hubbard ends up turning into just 80% of the player that McCaffrey is, I think that will be enough to get them through. And that's still a ton. But I think it's McCaffrey. I agree with Wilson only because, we saw as soon as he went out with like 12 minutes left in the second quarter. And from there until halftime, the Panthers just sputtered. They fell flat on their face. That possession that McCaffrey got injured on ended with that failed 4th and 1, and McCaffrey was already out at that point. And so, boom, you turn it over.
Chuba also might have gotten that. The refs were not kind to the Panthers tonight, by the way.
Yeah, it was a real weird officiated game. But after the failed 4th and 1, real quick, they punt, and then the end of the half when they kneeled it. And so they basically did nothing. And not only that, the only 3 sacks Sam Darnold took in this entire game came in that 12-minute stretch where McCaffrey initially went out. So it was like the Panthers just kind of didn't know what to do. And, they figured things out a little bit in the second half, but it got pretty ugly there when CMC went out.
So now that is actually a great point, and I think it's severely undervalued here. The pass protection that Chris McCaffrey brings. He lays it all out there. He's consistently responsible with his pass pro. He knows where to be. He's going to help keep Sam Darnold protected. And I mentioned on it was the preview with Sully, and then again on HQ earlier. If you look at what they were doing, Joe Brady was setting up Sam Darnold and they did this this is when the offense looked great tonight. He would have Sam Darnold take 2 reads and go through them very quickly. And it was like, look, if you aren't comfortable with this throw, just ignore it. Next one, if you're not comfortable, ignore it. And then the third read would usually be a Christian McCaffrey dump off. And that's a really smart way to handle it, because you're basically saying, if that's not a great look, throw it to CMC and he's going to be open because he's smart enough to do that. And the pass pro, again, key. I do wonder, Breech, if there was some sort of shell shock for the Panthers, like in the sense of they realized that CMC wasn't, he's announced out, and, you find out on the sideline, they're like, whoa, we were kind of rolling and he was our focal point. And like, now what do we do? I mean, do you think that's a valid theory?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. And they kind of played like that. It was kind of because that if they get that 4th and 1 and maybe score a touchdown there, I think they go up 14-0. Everyone's relieved. They get out of there with a bigger blowout than it doesn't ever feel close. This game felt close for a while. And it dow feel like they were a little shell shocked because the next time they got the ball after that 4th and 1, these weren't just punting on 2 straight possessions. They went 3 and out.
Yep.
So it was pretty ugly. And it felt like they're like, oh God, Sam Darnold, that Christian McCaffrey has him there as the check down guy. He has them there for pass protection, and that's probably the one thing where you wouldn't trust a rookie. So now he's, Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. He's back in New York. So it is those things you have to worry about, because you start getting the quarterback's head and then he starts to struggle. Yeah. And then it gets crazy.
And the only reason the Texans scored a touchdown is the Panthers got the ball with 2:08 left in the first half, and they go 3 and out and punt to the Texans. And at that point, David Culley and his offensive staff decided to do this crazy thing where you get the ball out quickly and throw the football down the field instead of going run, make Davis Mills figure something out up there down. And what happened was it was just Brandon Cooks was wide. It was just like pepper Brandon Cooks with targets in a hurry up offense. They scored a touchdown and they didn't do it again for the rest of the game naturally.
I would push back on the shell shock stuff. I just think that you lost Christian McCaffrey. They only played 3 games last year. It wasn't like they're accustomed to having Christian McCaffrey out there. He had 2 catches for 9 yards. Chuba had 3 catches for 27 yards. So there was still the possibility to give him the ball. And by the way, if the first read is what Joe Brady wanted to do, quickly 1-2, and then C-Mac or Hubbard, DJ Moore was open every freaking time that he looked up. So DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks were the only guys catching passes on Thursday night.
Real quick, McCaffrey had 9 touches in the first quarter, basically. So he was on pace to get 36 touches in this game. So
no, but they haven't won a pitch count, so he wasn't going to get 36 touches.
Well, I saw this from our pal Greg Rosenthal of NFL Media that noted that last week against the Saints in that blowout victory, Christian McCaffrey still getting touches in the Panthers' final drive, which, I mean, look, the guy missed a ton of time last year because he led the NFL in touches in 2019. Maybe be a little bit smarter about it. By the way, the Millie Maker, was chopped a ton of ways. The first place tie for first place won $46,000, which is very nice. You had to have the stones not to play Christian McCaffrey in Showdown DFS, which is not easy. That's not a that's not a
Yeah, but that's also how you win $1 million.
That's correct.
So
That's the guy who played
winning millions
Mariota
not easy.
one night.
So as Breech noted in our little private Slack channel, our buddy Joe Person, William Mary in the house, said that Sam Darnold said during his post-game presser that he thinks McCaffrey will be back during the season, but that's him being optimistic. It's just a hamstring. He's coming back no longer than 4 or 5 weeks, worst case, I would think. So it must be something.
Well, that's what Darnold is making it sound like it ripped off the bone or something crazy like that. Exactly. If he's saying, I feel optimistic because saying he'll come back this season.
Tyrod Taylor is the unluckiest person in the NFL, and he's on IR. He'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks. And hamstrings typically or 4 to 6 week thing, worst case.
Your audio, yeah, I know you're right. It's typically a 4 to 6 week. Could be my audio. My computer's being weird, but yes.
So he's likely not coming back till sometime November at the earliest, best case scenario. And if it's worse than that, then you're looking late December, maybe the playoffs.
Right. Worst case is November. Is what you're saying.
No. Well, best case is November.
Wait, why is it best case? What if it's only 4 weeks?
That's 4 weeks. You're looking at.
I don't think it's 4.
Almost taking you to November. Their next game's in October.
If it's a typical hamstring, then I think 4 weeks is reasonable. Yeah, late October, Halloween time. I get that. Yeah, but I thought you meant like Thanksgiving or something.
No, like November 1st.
Yeah.
So the way that it happened, whenever we see those non-contact injuries and somebody's wheeled out of there and they're like, and before the card even hits the exit tunnel, they're like, he's been ruled out.
Yeah.
Joe Buck even prefaced it with this like ominous. He's like, we have some news we have to get to here. And they go to Aaron Andrews. She's like, Christian McCaffrey has been ruled out. It's like, whoa, nobody's even seen him since he left on that play. And
but if you tear your hamstring, immediately you're not going back in. So it's not like, and it's not as bad as an Achilles, because when you see the Achilles go up the guy's calf or whatever, it's just like, okay, I tore my hamstring. I can walk, but he walked to the locker room. You can walk with a torn hamstring. You can't run. Sure. That's the problem.
My point is just that when someone is ruled out that quickly, it is generally a very bad sign for it. We've covered the NFL long enough. When somebody is ruled out within less than 5 minutes of the injury happening, it is typically a sign that it's a severe injury. And now Sam Darnold's, as you point out, throwing out to our pal, good friend of the show, Joe Person, that he is probably being optimistic that CMC will be back this year.
Well, I think part of the issue is they don't like to give that information. So the fact that they let us know early is just them perhaps slipping. But the thing, if you tear your hamstring, as Breech notes, if you tear it off the bone, that's a problem. But
my point is that Jaycee Horn fell down, started pointing at his leg and calling for the trainers. And they said he was questionable return with a foot injury.
No, I don't, again, I have no idea.
If I ran the Panthers, I would have signed Mike Glennon to a 5-year, $150 million deal, and they've been like, Mike, where's my 10% for the agent's cut? Okay, so to the actual game itself,
just for people listening on Friday, that's Brinson reading a reader comment live during the show.
From David Johnson, who may or may not be the Texans running back.
By the way, again, I just hate to drag Bill O'Brien. He traded Trey Hopkins away, brought back David Johnson's the third running back on this team. I mean, what are we doing?
If you were building a super team of 2015
home run
fantasy friendly running backs, it's Houston Texans. Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, Brandon Cooks ended up having a nice game. Mm-hmm. He is going to be worthwhile for fantasy purposes moving forward.
Rex Burkhead is on the roster.
Yeah, exactly. Wilson, what did you think about Davis Mills? Excuse me. He was a favorite of Pete Prisco coming out of the draft. Thought he acquitted himself fairly well at times. He's probably just in a bad spot to succeed because I don't trust this coaching staff and there's not a lot around him.
Yeah, no, he did pretty good. I'll give him that. The man with 2 last names, who definitely sounds like he grew up in North Carolina, but he's actually from Georgia, interestingly enough. He did well. The issue at Stanford is he didn't play a lot of football, and we heard Troy Aikman talk about that. I wish he had come back for another year because he would have been one of the first quarterbacks to be drafted this year, but he decided to come out, and that's certainly up to him. He went to the 3rd round. He's the first pick of the 3rd round. He went before
First pick by the Texans. First
Yeah.
pick by Nick Caserio of his
I
career.
think Kellen Mond went right after him, and I like Kellen Mond a lot more. But yeah,
He went right after Kellen Mond.
Okay, there you go. So he made some good throws, but as you noted, the game plan with Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator, is just to run the ball 85% of the time, and then on 3rd and 12, make Davis Mills go back there and get his head ripped off, which is what happened frequently in the first half. Then later in the game, when he was allowed to throw the football, he was able to do that with a little more consistency. Brandon Cooks played really well. No interceptions for Davis Mills. I thought he would definitely hit the over of a half.
Ooh, you lost $190 on that.
190. That's right. So great job there, Davis. He had a touchdown on a play, to his credit, where he looked off his first receiver very quickly and found Anthony Miller. And like I mentioned, he didn't do a lot of that in college. Didn't do that last week. I went back and watched the Browns game. So yeah, it's a good start. But I mean, the thing is, if you look at the advanced metrics from our buddies, Football Outsiders, Tyrod Taylor's a top 5 quarterback based on his 6 quarters of play this year. And he was doing pretty well against the Browns, until, like our guy C-Mac, he pulled his hammy on that touchdown run.
Yeah, I thought the Texans coaching staff kind of held the team back in this game, because I thought Houston, I think we all thought Houston was going to get way blown out in this game, wasn't going to be as close as it was for 3 quarters. And it's like, if you're going to run the offense you ran, why not just run the Wildcat with your 3 aging running backs? Why even have a quarterback? They literally went in there thinking,
you're making a joke, but that's not a terrible idea.
Well, they're thinking, hey, we're not going to let our rookie quarterback throw the ball at all. As Ryan said, we're just going to run the ball 85% of the time. And you're running into a brick wall. The Panthers are giving up 40 rushing yards per game through the first 2 weeks. The Texans only got 42 yards here. I don't know what they were expecting to do on the ground. And when they finally did, when they finally unleashed Davis Mills to run that 2-minute drill, he drove him straight down the field. He went 5 of 6 for 60 yards with the touchdown to Anthony Miller's only incompletion was a spiked pass. And it was just like, okay, if they maybe would have at least tried that instead of, doing these 3rd and longs. When you throw it on 3rd and long, the other defense is going to kill you, especially when the other defense is good. And that's what they did. How many times did Davis Mills get smashed in the head in this game? And you felt bad for him. And it was like, hey, why don't you guys try throwing the ball on 1st down? Try running your 2-minute drill the entire game, because that's literally the only thing that's worked for you so far. So I thought it was weird that the coaching staff didn't let him throw much. And then my other beef with their coaching staff is that they punted.
Hold on. I want to wait to hear that other beef with the coaching staff, because, Breech, as you may know, the NFL season is here, and to celebrate, Bud Light just unveiled their limited edition team cans designed for the fans. There's a custom design for each fan base, as you can see over Ryan Wilson's right shoulder, Blitzburg. Breech has the Houday, and I've got the freshly 3-0, but Pyrrhic victory-ish Carolina Panthers hashtag for the fans. We have had a few of ours tonight, and we'll crack a few more on Sunday. They're hitting stores now. Are the only beer you're going to want to have in your fridge this season. Head over to BudLightDelivery.com or BudLight.com/delivery. Excuse me. That's the first time I messed that up. Now to find out how to get yours delivered. Again, BudLight.com/delivery. Go get your team cans. Breech, you pointed out the punt by the Texans. It was really short, wasn't it?
That was my other issue with their coaching staff, besides just handcuffing Davis Mills, not letting him throw the ball. 4th and 1 or 4th and 4, but they were at Carolina's 39-yard line. If you are inside the other team's 40, you do not punt the ball. If you are a 1-1 team that everyone thought was going to go 0-17, you do not punt the ball. You have nothing to lose here. And Joey Sly has a big enough leg. He hit a 53-yard field goal in the game. Yes, he missed an extra point, but apparently
you didn't want them to go. You wanted to kick.
I wanted them to go for it or kick the field goal. Do anything but punt. And here is, you go for it because you're inside their 40-yard line. It makes sense. You have nothing to lose. That's it. If you don't get it, they get the ball at the 39, or if you try to run it and then you get 3 yards, they get the ball at the 36. It's not great field position.
Hey, Breech, let me just add this quickly to your point. Surrender Index 90 on Twitter is a fantastic follow.
I was just looking at that today.
Yeah, the punt you mentioned ranks as the 99.6th percentile of cowardly punts in 2021 and the 99.1 percentile of all punts since 1999.
My God.
Oh, I looked at
that is a horrible decision. And even if you kick the 56-yard field goal, let's say Joey Sly makes that. Again, Joey Sly cannot hit extra points, but you put him out there for a long-range field goal, he'll nail it, hit the 53-yarder, as I mentioned earlier. But if you make that, you're up 9-7, and that changes the whole complexion of the game if you are leading in the second half. That fires up your defense. That gets everyone going, and nope. you punt it.
Well, you know what's frustrating to me?
You know what the Panthers did after that punt? They went down and scored a touchdown. Game over.
Of course they did. But what's frustrating to me is that they don't punt there. They do punt there, but then it's 4th and 11 in the fourth quarter. They're down by 2 scores. I'm like, yeah, let's go for it and see what happens. And guess who gets hit in the face as they fall to the ground on a ball that comes up 1 yard short of the sticks?
Yeah, it's weird to be like, I get it. David Culley is trying to coach his way and to coach. You know, he finally, 47 years of being an assistant coach, he finally got this head coaching job, and he wants.
Let me ask you this though, and this is a complaint to sort of play, as you like to say, Brinson, devil's avocado. Here, so I just mentioned the surrender index guys, and you know, looking at every single team, you have to go for it there. But what if you're the coach of the Houston Texans and your quarterback is a rookie who's never started a game, your offensive line is in shambles, and you don't trust your defense to a large extent against a pretty good Panthers offense, even though Christian McCaffrey was out at that point. So does that change your decision calculus, or are you going for it no matter what?
My whole point is if I'm the head coach of the Houston Texans in 2021, I'm David Culley. I know that this is it. You're probably going to get fired from this job no matter how.
You think so?
No, not this year, but just this is.
Oh, right, yeah.
This is probably your only chance at a head coaching job. So why would you play it safe?
Right. Why are you playing it safe?
The hell out of this.
If you're going by in-game feeling, the Panthers literally only had 2 drives in the first half of more than 7 yards. So there's no reason you wouldn't have faith in your defense to make a stop if you go for it on 4th. It's just, I don't know what he was thinking.
The Panthers were playing this game. Okay, if we get to 21, we trust our defense to win this game. They were playing it super conservative. You know, they were moving the ball okay, but and I do feel like the referees, there was the pass interference non-call on the first drive for Carolina where DJ Moore got absolutely mugged by Vernon Hargraves, and there's no flag. There was the pass interference call against Carolina on the 3rd and long on the left side of the field where I think it was Dante Jackson, but it could have been Horn. I could be wrong.
It was Dante.
Dante Jackson. And the ball's 17 feet above the ground, completely uncatchable. The refs are bombing flags in there. I thought the Chuba Hubbard 4th and 1 was a little bit closer. Okay, maybe you didn't get it.
Stop it.
Well, I'm just saying that there was.
You sound like a bigger homer than me and Breech. Now that your team is 3-0.
My team is not going to the playoffs. I'm not worried about it. But I mean, it felt like the refs were very clearly whatever coin flip calls happened in this game. They all went to Houston.
And they still won 24-9. I mean,
but that's what it takes for Houston to compete in these games is 24-9. Your point is, if I'm David Culley, I am going bees to the wall, like bees.
Yeah, no, I get that, and that's a fair point. And I won't even argue. I will say this though, and I'm probably going to say it every week until I'm proven otherwise. These guys play hard for David Culley.
Yeah,
the Lions play hard for Dan Campbell. Jaguars, not so much.
I don't think the Texans will go 1-16.
My bold prediction was that the Texans will win twice as many games as the Lions and the Jaguars combined, and so far, I'm crushing it.
They have infinity more right now.
Infinity. I didn't know if anyone would get the math. You got it, Breech. That's a goal.
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah, the Texans feel like a 5-6 team.
You know who Warren's talking about? Tommy Tremble. Hello.
Yeah, the funny thing is,
Notre Dame looked good, man.
He was known for his blocking at Notre Dame, and he got Sam blowed up on one of his early sacks. But yeah, then he had the end around, the old school end around, and the thing is, he's incredibly raw as a pass catcher. And I think he's only going to get better, and we saw glimpses of that tonight. So that was awesome. Terrace Marshall played well.
Balls.
Here's the Tommy Tremble fun fact.
It's balls.
Tommy Tremble fun fact. He is the youngest tight end in NFL history to score a rushing touchdown.
That is a fun. That's a great fun fact.
He broke.
I'm glad to have. What's your on a scale of 1 to 10? How do you rate that fun fact?
B-.
That's not a 1 to 10 scale.
That's a 1 to 10 rating. That's a letter.
How old is Tommy
I rate
Tremble?
Ryan's understanding of grading scales a 2.
A 2? He said B-. It should be a 1 number. You gave a 2 for
Grades on a curve. He's a Bengals fan.
Clarity, this is actually a better ice cold take presented by Bud Light than the one I gave. Everyone thought Houston was the worst team this year. Their D is actually okay. Houston will sweep Jacksonville. I agree. I think the Lions and the Texans, I don't know at what point those teams will quit because they're going to quit. I mean, you're not going to make it to week 15 trying hard. It's just not fair on you to lose those games. But from weeks like 5 to 14, there's going to be some they're going to cover some games, and they're going to surprise some teams that are unprepared or looking past it.
That's what I was going to say. Between now and the bye, they play. Yeah. I'll list it off real fast: the Bills, the Patriots, the Colts, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Dolphins. And I feel like they win one of those games.
Well, here's something else to keep in mind. Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, we see that silly comment.
That's a great
Tyrod
comment.
Taylor had the Browns on the ropes in the first half. Like they seemed on their heels, and that would have been a close game. I'm sure the Browns probably would have won it, but certainly much closer than when Davis Mills came in. And I think when Tyrod comes back, if he can recapture some of that form that he had for the first 6 quarters or so, those could be those wins you're talking about, Breech.
The problem is, as Breech pointed out, Breech Brains points out, I don't trust this coaching staff to make
you have, by the way, you have Breech for brains.
That's a compliment according to our commenter. Our commenter said Breech is the brains of the operation.
For
those of you not watching on YouTube.
I was substituting Breech for poop. Breech for brains.
Oh, we missed. The problem is I don't trust this coaching staff to make life easier for the young quarterback or Tyrod Taylor.
Well, they won the first game. They were in it until Tyrod got hurt in week 2 against Cleveland. So,
yeah, but this is also the guy that called a time or declined a penalty
so
he could punt on a 4th down.
He apologized, Breech.
We're not beating that guy down.
That doesn't mean he won't do it in the future.
I think one good takeaway from this game, especially, I mean, he still was heavily targeted even after CMC went down. DJ Moore, good luck buying. You can't buy low on him in fantasy, but he looks like he could very well challenge to lead the league in receiving yards.
What's Robbie Anderson thinking about all this?
Well, he got paid, so I think he's fine. So last year, what was weird, Anderson's ADOT, average depth of target, was really low, and Moore's was really high. It was very bizarre because Anderson's the field stretcher, and Moore's the guy who you get into space and work underneath. And this year, it's flipped back to where it should be. I think Robbie Anderson, aka Sir Purr, is cool with the situation. Oh, I know. This was something I was going to point out before the break. Texans defensive coordinator, Lovie Smith. He just runs cover 2. That's why they just dinked and dunked the whole way down. I had a good buddy, a good smart football friend of mine text me and say, man, the Panthers are going to dink and dunk all over Lovie Smith's cover 2. And they did just that. So that's why I think this probably wasn't a Robbie Anderson game, because, that early on, Darnold threw this really nice pass just in terms of the throw, and it hit Dan Arnold in the hands. But he had 2 safeties converging on them because they squat on the hash marks, so they hadn't moved off. So he shouldn't have thrown it there, even though it hit him in the hands. And that's sort of the problem. That cover 2 isn't set up well if the safeties are staying true to their assignments to have Robbie Anderson vertical shots. You know what I'm saying?
I do understand. You can still be cover 2 with deep shots. But I understand what you're saying.
I think the Panthers came into this game with a very, of course you could hit deep shots on cover 2 all day. But I think the Panthers came into this game thinking we need to get X, and we can get that by chewing them up underneath.
Well, the first 2 weeks, Sam Darnold, he hasn't thrown the ball deep at all. His yards per attempt.
No, it's second lowest in the league, I think.
Yeah, so this isn't anything out of the ordinary in terms of what they do. But he's throwing for over 260 yards all 3 games. So, as we talked about, you and I, Brinson, on HQ on Wednesday, it's letting the playmakers do the heavy lifting. And obviously, McCaffrey came out, so it was DJ Moore's night to do it.
This is kind of crazy, but is it fair to why don't we just ignore the previous 3 years? We'll call this Sam Darnold's rookie year. We're going to give him a wash for the Adam Gase stuff.
I think it's fair.
Oh, 100%. By the way, let me.
Is this a Kevin Clark tweet?
Yeah, that's a great tweet. Do you see this, Breech?
So Kevin Clark, friend of the podcast, actually. Good friend of the show. I was trying to think if he'd been on or not. He pointed out that he's like, you might think this Adam Gase stuff is a meme, but Adam Gase is at LSU in 2002, leaves, and they win the national championship.
Here's the actual tweet. You're leaving out some of the important things. Tannehill and Darnold improve after Gase. The Broncos win the Super Bowl immediately after Gase leaves. LSU after 2002, then he wins. And then he added, Kevin Clark did, that this is not a joke. Adam Gase's Michigan High School won the state title its first season after his 1996 graduation.
Stop it.
So I think there's a theme there, Breech.
It seems plausible. This
Great
isn't
news
just
also, Breech. The
crazy
next
theory
coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, Adam Gase.
Well, I was going to say every team.
Oh, we missed.
That's a compliment. You hire Gase for a year and then you fire him and you're guaranteed a Super Bowl.
Adam, we want to sign you to a 1-year, $5 million contract. And Gase is like, hell yeah.
We literally don't care how you do. If you go 0-17, if you go 15-2, you're getting fired.
0-17.
There's the tweet. But the funny thing is, Adam Gase will say, Mike Brown, now you love to save money. I want to have a lifetime deal. I'll work for $10 a year, and they'll be there forever.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, are we? I don't know. I don't have it open right now. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Brian Burns,
3 sacks,
player of the year,
3 straight games.
I bet it 53-1 last week or 2 weeks ago.
You're off to a good start.
I'm gonna see what he's at Caesars right now because they actually leave these up even when this stuff is happening. I love that.
It's better than your Trent Williams for comeback player of the year. I'll tell you that. Or your
that could have won if it
Garrett
worked.
Bradbury.
Garrett Bradbury rookie of the year.
That's fine.
You're getting better. You're getting better.
Here it is. Hold on. Let's see. Burns is at Caesars. Our pals at Caesars have Burns 40-1 at Caesars right now.
There it's
if
moving.
you have access to Caesars or any book with Brian Burns at 30-1 or more, go bet that. This dude is playing with his hair on fire.
What is Breech? What would you set the odds for rookie of the year for Evan McPherson, the kicker for the Bengals, who's really good?
Oh, I mean, like 5,000. It'd be something insane. A kicker has never won it.
What if he kicks 12 straight game-winning field goals?
Oh, then he has. I mean, 12 straight. That means the Bengals are winning 12 games. So,
all right, it's been a great show, everybody. Thanks for
trying to get Breech excited after all the dunks.
I'm just kidding.
I'm excited. I'm the brains of the operation. I got a compliment on the YouTube page. I'm good to go
Breech
for
brains.
another hour. We can talk about this game for another hour. I'm here.
Only Breech is gonna. We're gonna show up to the next podcast we got to do together on Sunday night. And Breech is gonna have like a framed quote, the brains of the operation. YouTube commenter.
The comments can be printed out.
Brains.
Framed in the back.
BRANES. The brains of the operation.
The Panthers defense. Here is this. Fun fact from ESPN Stats and Info. They've only given up 573 total yards through 3 games. That is the fewest total yards allowed by any team starting 3-0 since the 1992 Philadelphia Eagles, who had Reggie White.
Wow.
Ooh.
I bet that will change next weekend or in 10 days when the Panthers play the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes,
that will be a fun litmus test. So the Panthers, let's do our the rigmarole where we go through what's next for these teams. The Panthers the Texans are just going to die a slow death and continue to burn on the spit until the season ends. But the Panthers are the Panthers are 3-0. They lose McCaffrey. They probably lose Horn for a while, but they are 3-0 and they're technically in the mix. They're at the Cowboys in week 4. Week 5, they host the Eagles. Bum, Debo. Week 6, they host the Vikings. Week 7, they're at the Giants. Week 8, they're at the Falcons. And week 9, they are hosting the Patriots. That is, I don't know if they'll beat the Patriots, but I think they could potentially do it.
Yeah, of course.
That is if they can stack.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Stretch.
That's 6 games. How many wins do you want?
3. I want to go 3-3 in that stretch to be 6-3.
They don't play a team that finished last season with a winning record until November 28th.
I think they win 4. Well, this Christian McCaffrey thing and Jaycee Horn thing has me worried. I think 3-3 is right. I would go 4 if everyone's healthy.
And as I pointed out, as this.
Wait, how many games are we talking about here?
6 games.
6 games. 3-3 is very good. 4-2 is incredible.
I think 3-3 is the worst case scenario.
But they don't have Christian McCaffrey. They don't have Jaycee Horn. 2 of their best players.
I mean, we got to understand. They just beat the 2 of the 3 worst teams in football in the Jets and the Texans.
And that we'll find something out right quick. Now, the Saints situation.
The Cowboys might be a good bet.
And by the way, we somehow failed to mention this on the recap pod that the Saints, who got blown out by the Panthers, had 8 coaches who were on the COVID list who couldn't coach. Yeah. So that may have had something to do with that as well.
Correct.
And a bunch of starters out.
Yes,
it was rough.
There's a starters out. Yes, the Panthers have had The Panthers have one of the easiest schedules in football.
When do we think the Panthers lose their first game?
Next week.
Yeah, I'll say next week.
I think next week too.
I think the Cowboys get them.
I just think you get a rookie quarterback in week 1. You get Jameis Winston playing his first road game in week 2. You get a rookie quarterback in week 3, and then finally, boom, you get slapped in the face with Dak Prescott. I mean, it's going to be.
What do we think the line will be? What's the look at line for Panthers Cowboys?
Cowboys are favored by 2.5.
Oh, I was going to say
5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5. What are you
Breech brain is on the freeze.
The brains of the operation. The Panthers are favored by 7.
I pick them. But here's the thing, and you're talking about Brian Burns. That defense was balling out. If they get after Dak Prescott, who's incredibly tough and can make throws under pressure.
That was here's the thing. Andy Dalton can win.
Yeah, God, don't bring that up.
It looks like what did you guys say it was going to be?
5 to 6.
And I said 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it is 4.
That you don't victory lap that. That's
I'm just saying. You guys laughed at me like I was way off. You guys were way off.
You were way off. 5 is closer to.
Hey, have you ever played Price is Right? You went over. You're out. You lose. I just won the showcase showdown.
No. You don't get to yell and be right. That's not how this works. You said 2.5. All right. So the Texans' next games are. That's incredible that you tried to victory lap that.
Yeah, no.
It's like sad. We said, what is the line going to be? The look at line was 4. Now the Panthers barely snuck by the Texans, lost CMC and Jaycee Horn. Do you think the line's going down to 2.5? The Texans are at the Bills. Oh boy. Holy Faye, look at this sketch.
Yikes.
Jeez. Then get the Patriots at home. You can see this on youtube.com if you are so inclined. youtube.com/pick6. At the Colts. Maybe Carson Wentz and his 14 broken ankles will be back by then. At Arizona.
Oh my God.
The Rams at home. At Miami. At Tennessee. So we need to expand that, Debo. Keep scrolling. When is the Texans' next win?
There it is.
At home against the Jets.
So I think they could win one game of those 7 games. Tennessee going.
I think they win one also. I think they upset someone.
I think it's possible they beat Indianapolis in Indy.
Could be Indy. They could be Miami.
Maybe the Cardinals.
Maybe we always talk about the Cardinals as
Cardinals love to
hang around in a bad way.
I would not want to have the Texans over right now. I'll tell you that much.
They're still. I'm telling you, they're 4 to 5 wins is what Breech said. I think they're going to find it.
You have the Jets and Jacksonville, 2 games they probably should win. So
Tyrod's coming back.
I mean, those are
just
3 must-win games if you bet the over.
That's true. That gets them to 3, and they just have to find 2 more wins anywhere on the schedule.
Yeah, Tyrod's gonna make it happen.
I mean, you got to pray the Titans are resting everybody.
I think.
You going be in charge of dunks? No. The dunk king. Sorry. No. It's actually technically no. He cannot be in charge because of, again, technical reasons. That's why Breech can't have his own dunk button. All right, let's get the hell out of here. This is way too long.
Peace.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Big brain Breech. Not going to be a thing. Y'all are not comedy.
Leave on a high note.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Appreciate y'all. See ya. Make sure to check out the Picks Pod, of course. Next show live on YouTube Sunday night to recap week 3. See you guys.